question about Matthew Thomas Crooks, the shooter responsible for the assassination attempt on President Trump's life. I did get an answer from Chris Wray that day, and I submitted written questions to the FBI and into the record of this committee, and I want to resubmit those questions today because I think we are still awaiting answers to those questions. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit them for the record, please. I'd like to ask you, sir, and the FBI, under your leadership, would you please respond to these questions, and can you commit to doing that?
As soon as the trial's over.
But if it's true that there's nothing...
What trial? He's talking about Matthew. I'm sure that the trial he was talking about was the other one, the other assassination attempt where they actually took the guy alive. I didn't think it was Thomas Crooks. He's dead. Why would there be a trial?
Here, then the FBI has a very strange way of showing it. In July of 2024, a bipartisan group of senators led by Republican Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin sent a letter, quote, requesting records related to the July 13th, 2024 assassination attempt. Fully a year later, the FBI still had not responded. What is this about? This summer, Senator Johnson issued a new subpoena, noting that, quote, nearly a year after the assassination attempt and the initiation of the subcommittee's investigation, the FBI has repeatedly failed to produce the subcommittee records and information critical to its investigation. In the subpoena, they demanded pictures and images related to the assassination, video footage, forensic reports, records related to FBI interviews, and notably, all records referring or relating to any of Thomas Crooks's electronic devices, digital or financial accounts, or online search history.
What are you telling us?
I am totally unsatisfied. I am totally unsatisfied.
I mean, to be fair, this is Eric Trump, right? This is his dad, right? His dad was almost assassinated, and they released nothing. Absolutely nothing.
You had a person with a modern rifle, modern scoped rifle at 130 yards who shot at the former commander-in-chief of the United States and a guy who was going to be, by all accounts at that point, the future commander-in-chief. And then they tried to kill my father 8 weeks later, you know, at his golf course in Palm Beach County, a golf course that I run every single day. I am totally unsatisfied that we have one picture of that shooter. The guy looks like he was 14 years old in the picture. We know nothing about him. We know nothing about him, right? And I am totally unsatisfied with the result, and I think a lot of America is unsatisfied with the result, and I think we better get to the bottom of exactly what happened.
He's completely right. He's completely and utterly correct here.
Are you telling me there's a conspiracy here that you believe that Eric Trump believes resulted in the assassination attempt?
Dude, they always try to make you look so, like, unreasonable. Oh, you believe in a conspiracy? You absolute buffoon. You jellywinkle. You believe in a conspiracy?
Yes, I think they tried to kill my father because they did not want his voice on that stage.
I mean, that is the reasonable response, right? They tried to impeach him. That didn't work. They tried to silence him. That didn't work. They tried to steal the election. Some say they did. That didn't work. He was coming back bigger and stronger than ever. There's only one more step. As terrifying as that sounds.
Unfortunately, the reality is that the FBI, as of today, is not only stonewalling, but is actively preventing an honest look at what happened in Butler. Within days of the shooting, FBI agents collected all the relevant surveillance footage. That includes footage from local businesses, the state police, and critically, the gun range where Thomas Crooks trained.
Bro.
Did he train alone? We don't know. Because to this day...
Why the hell would they censor that? Why would they redact all that info, dude?
The FBI refuses to release
radical freak show Antifa guy that's working with the government.
They confirmed it exists. They confirmed the existence of one gaming account, and then publicly said a few days later the account wasn't real.
Bro.
Is that incompetence?
Bro.
Or are they lying? Within a day of the shooting, the social media
There was no assassination attempt.
companies that hosted Crooks's comments took
There was no shock collar on a Sandpiker's dog. In fact, there was no dog.
his accounts offline. In some cases, the records of those comments in the Internet Archive were also erased. Did the FBI order that too? What we do know is that on the day of the attacks, Thomas Crooks got extremely lucky, miraculously lucky. After he arrived on the morning of the shooting, Thomas Crooks conducted surveillance by flying his drone over the rally site.
And no one noticed? Like, this is the former president and next president of the United States of America, and he's surrounded by Secret Service. No one noticed a fucking high school retard flying a drone around, surveilling this situation. No one noticed him on a roof. No one placed people on that roof because the roof was sloped. It's like, again, it's either incompetence or it's, well, purposeful negligence.
He flew that drone for 11 minutes. It just so happened the Secret Service's anti-drone system was down at exactly the same moment.
Too bad many coincidences, man. I'm telling you, man. They're out there. They're like, all right, so we have this over-medicated, retarded, savagely violent, brutal subset of the American people that we could very easily manipulate and indoctrinate into our ideologies. Let's just kind of let them kill our political opponents. All right, let's pave the path for them. Give them a couple of nudges. This is the way I see it. Let's give them a couple of nudges. Let's wink at them a couple of times. Push them in the right direction, you know. Show them kind of the ropes, the way it can be done. Not telling them to do anything, not directly working with them, but just take this highly vulnerable, mentally whacked out, fucking furry transgender guy who's obviously not super well in the head, not an adjusted guy, who's constantly making bomb threats and, you know, talking about violent shit on the internet, and let's just kind of poke him and prod him to kill the people we hate. Like, that's kind of what it seems like.
What are the odds? Later that afternoon, police officers saw Crooks loitering with a backpack and a rangefinder. They identified him as a suspicious person, which he clearly was, but quickly lost track of him.
Bro!
And so,
how do you lose track of a suspicious guy around the President of the United States?
Crooks climbed to the top of the American Glass Research Building. That happened to be the only building in the area that did not have a video surveillance system. It was also, remarkably, inexplicably, outside the Secret Service's security perimeter. Despite the fact signs saw Crooks, but they didn't report him. A third officer who was supposed to be there left early. At 6:11 p.m., Crooks opened fire from the rooftop.
Take a look at what happened.
That was a miracle. That was an actual miracle that Trump did not get killed there at that moment. It was actually the hand of God pushed that bullet out of the way. What an unbelievable moment in history.
Within the vacuum left by the FBI and its total unwillingness to explain what had happened, the media were able to leverage the shooting to serve its own political ends.
Of course. So the media twists it as like, no, transgender furry. No, we're gonna hide all of that immediately. No, it was actually a right-wing guy. More right-wing violence, except it's never right-wing violence. The violence is almost always from the left.
On ABC, we learned that this happened because white men own guns.
It was,
it's guns' fault. I forgot. I totally forgot. That's the first step. First, you blame the guns. Right, I totally forgot.
A 20-year-old lone wolf, white, whack job with easy access to a gun. And we have to have a conversation about that.
I agree. I don't think any furries or trans people should allowed to have guns. I know. I'm a very big fan of the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms. This is what our founding fathers wanted. Caveat, we do not give guns to schizophrenic people. I think we also should not be giving guns to other forms of mentally ill people. That's my opinion.
Within days of the shooting, U.S. intelligence officials started leaking about a supposed plot by the Iranian government to kill.
Oh my God! There's no way he doesn't believe this. I mean, of course, it's Tucker Carlson. That's crazy that he's going this way. There was an Iranian plot. This is a known fact. This is a known confirmed fact to kill President Trump. In fact, it was confirmed not only by Trump, but it was confirmed by Iran. Iran confirmed that they tried to kill him.
There was never any evidence that if you were planning a regime change war against Iran...
Oh my God, he's blaming Israel. Every single time. How did I guess it was going to get to Israel?
He might claim otherwise.
Let me read to you this.
Is this not crazy, man? That's insane. How did I predict from the very beginning that we're going to end up blaming Israel someday? Oh my Lord.
Breaking news that we are reporting from 3 U.S. officials who have been briefed on the matter. The U.S. obtained intelligence in recent weeks about an Iranian plot to assassinate President Trump.
The Stonewall, the lying, the persistent unwillingness to explain anything, all of it makes you wonder, what are they hiding? If the leadership of the FBI and the DOJ had any desire whatsoever to prove to the public that there's
Tucker Carlson, the guy that interviewed the leader of Iran and also the leader of Qatar, and also believes that Sharia law is moral. Again, I don't know why he feels the need to simp for radical Islam so much, just in general, but we do know for a fact that there was an Iranian plot to kill Trump. I don't know why this is like so complicated. Trump said that he's gonna bomb the fuck out of them and they're not gonna be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. It actually kind of makes sense that they would try to want to kill him. And they did. Thank God they failed. But I don't know. I feel like it's perfectly reasonable. And they admitted it. They took credit for it. So, again, I don't know why we're rehashing this, and I also don't know what it has to do with anything. Tucker Carlson just needed to shove it in for some reason. But this video, it doesn't detract from the fact that this video is a masterclass, and something that we sort of needed.
In fact, nothing there, they could do that. But first they would have to answer these questions. Was Thomas Crooks known to federal law enforcement before the shooting? Was he
Seems like yes.
known to local law enforcement before the shooting?
My guess is no. My guess is local law enforcement was never told.
And if not, why not? Who?
Because they wanted to kill Trump. Or not Trump, but someone. Well, someone, maybe not Trump. Maybe if a Charlie Kirk rolls by the town, maybe he would go after that guy instead. I think it makes sense, actually. They want to keep these drugged out, over-medicated, unhinged, psychopathic whack jobs out there to kill their political opponents. And then they can claim they have nothing to do with it. Oh, they abhor political violence. Meanwhile, they'll literally put a machine gun in the hands of a chimpanzee.
Is Willie Tepes, and was he known to is Willie Tepes
My
linked
guess is he's the same guy.
to any violent organizations?
My guess is yeah. Sounds about right. I do think that Antifa is just the enforcement arm of the Democratic Party. I think the left is a much more global cabal regime than we give it credit for. I do believe that you look at the way and how organized Antifa is throughout basically all of the Western nations, and it kind of makes it seem like the media, and how the media is literally constantly running defense for them. The media is all on the left, essentially. How, in my opinion, the media is the propaganda wing of the leftists, and Antifa is the enforcement branch of the leftists. And I really feel like that's kind of what we're seeing here.
Is he linked to any governments? And if so, then around the time of the shooting, did the FBI have assets inside those organizations? If Crooks wasn't known to anyone in authority before the shooting, how was he able to post hundreds of violent extremist comments under his real name between 2019 and 2020?
In my opinion, they knew about it, and they groomed him. They groomed that motherfucker.
Without being detected by law.
They saw a kid that they would very easily be able to mold into some sort of whack job, and they did. That's my perspective, I think. And just by pushing and prodding him in the right direction.
Law enforcement or intel agencies at a time we know they were monitoring social media.
We know this for a fact because if you would post something that was in 2019, 2020, 2021, in that era, if you would post something that they deemed as COVID misinformation, they would delete your social media account. I know this because I got a video removed from YouTube and a threat of taking my entire channel down for quote-unquote COVID misinformation when I was shitting on the coronavirus bullshit, hysteria. All right? So, again, they know everything. You've got to stop. People got their Twitter accounts banned for breathing. All right? Get out of here.
Were those comments, including specific assassination threats against specific public officials, ever reported to YouTube? Other users complained about them. Did YouTube know?
Probably.
Why is the
My guess is yeah.
FBI telling us that they'll release this information after the trial when there is no trial?
That is a fucking good point. I didn't even know that this was like a thing. That they were like, yeah, we have to wait for the trial to end. Meanwhile, the guy's literally dead and cremated. Yeah.
Why did an FBI agent from the Technical Matters Response Unit hose down the crime scene the day after the attack? That seems very strange. What happened on the roof of the...
And also, the fact that they didn't have people there because the roof was sloped and it was too dangerous for the special agents to be on a sloped roof, right? Like how sloped that roof is.
American Glass Research Building for 10 seconds after Crooks' last shot until he was killed by the Secret Service. Does the FBI have surveillance footage of Thomas Crooks' shooting that day? Was the FBI present at the medical examiner's autopsy? Are there still blood samples? Can they be examined by outside authorities? When Congress demanded the autopsy, did the FBI restrict what the examiner could tell the Congress? When the FBI cleared the coroner to release Crooks' body information, did they keep tissue samples, brain tissue samples, spinal cord samples, or spinal fluid samples? Law enforcement sources told us that in a typical investigation in a crime of this nature, it would be normal to preserve all of that, those samples. If the FBI didn't, why not? And who made that decision to destroy what?
Right, he's right. He's correct. Roll, proverbially. These guys need to get obliterated, not just fired, jail. This is crazy.
Could be critical evidence in an attempted murder case. FBI agents went to the same gun range that Thomas Crooks was using. Who were those agents, and did any of them at any time have any contact with Thomas Crooks? Who did he train with exactly, and why can't we know? Was Thomas Crooks taking drugs that might have turned up on the toxicology?
I definitely think yes. Again, this is a trans furry. I have no doubt in my mind. My guess is he took the same like homemade HRT hormone shit that like a lot of these people do in like the trans furry Discord grooming cults. I do believe that. Like there are way too many of those.
But that weren't listed somehow. On what date specifically did FBI agents stop investigating Thomas Crooks's online presence? Why did the former deputy director of the FBI, Paul Abate, suggest to Congress that Crooks was a right-winger when he clearly wasn't?
True.
Was the FBI aware of Crooks's public comments before the shooting, many of which are openly violent, that included specific assassination attempts involving public officials? Who was Thomas Crooks in communication with in the days before the attack? What does his burner phone show? And in fact, why did he have a burner phone and encrypted foreign email accounts? Who are the government officials trying to...
It's a random fucking furry trans retard that's obviously insane. This dude has foreign burner phones and like, dude, this is fucking nutty. I'm telling you, I think he was poked and prodded in the direction that he went. I think that there was some sort of malevolent actor that was kind of maybe not telling him what to do or giving him orders, but maybe just kind of taking a really angry, very messed up, very chemically imbalanced dude and just kind of pushing and prodding him.
Ron to the shooting. Why did the FBI suggest that he had no digital footprint in the first place when the FBI had a great deal of hundreds and hundreds of comments from his digital activity? And what's on the other dozen accounts that the FBI clearly had access to? How long had Thomas Crooks been planning to commit an assassination? If there's nothing there, if they tell you this is just a lone nut who gave no indication he might do this, then what is stopping the FBI from at least giving the facts to Congress? Because if there's nothing there, these should be very easy questions to answer.
Banger video, dude. He didn't end with "it's the Jews," so you know it's only a 9 out of 10 video. Wow, dude. Look, man, I've said this before. I'm not a huge Tucker Carlson fan. I think he shills for radical Islam a little bit, way too much for my taste. But I want to make this very clear. And you know, and he blames Israel. He's like going down the Israel did everything rabbit hole. The Jews did everything. And to be fair, credit where credit is due. This video was amazing. I try to be open-minded about putting things in a vacuum, and I do think this video was absolutely fantastic and definitely needed to be done. Dude, the FBI has a lot of questions to answer for, and do I expect to ever get the answers? No. I am so demoralized with this drain the swamp facade. The swamp's not drained, okay? If the Epstein files are the lack of release of the Epstein files is indicative of anything, it's the fact that there are powerful people that are being protected, and there is some sort of agenda that's being pushed, and we are not privy to that knowledge yet. We will be. We're gonna figure this shit out. It's gonna happen at some point eventually. All right. I have faith that God has a plan and that these nefarious actors are gonna get obliterated. It has to happen. It's inevitable. We're in the end times, baby. The Jews! Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.
Dissuade the less stubborn, Morris continued his long life of sleeping with other men's wives. So much so that fellow founding father John Jay once exclaimed that he wished Morris had lost something else instead. But in 1809, this Evel Knievel of womanizing finally decided to settle down, and at the age of 57, he announced his marriage to Anne Gary Randolph, who was his 34-year-old housekeeper at the time. Along with being 22 years younger, Anne had sought fame for a previous affair she had with a brother-in-law. The affair resulted in a baby that mysteriously died soon after. Accused of the child's murder, Anne and the suspected father were detained and eventually brought to trial. But after a particularly heated hearing, the case was ultimately dismissed due to lack of evidence. Apparently, none of this bothered Governor, and by all accounts, spent the rest of his life happily married to a suspected infanticidal bride. True love? Yeah, okay, sure, why not? Being a diplomat diplomat to France seems like a pretty comfortable gig, provided it's not during that one period in time containing the most iconic act of civil unrest. Unfortunately for Morris, his time served as minister plenipotentiary to France went from 1792 to 1794, otherwise known as the bloodiest years of the French Revolution. Morris was often forced to face anti-aristocratic revolutionaries head-on, and according to historian Forrest McDonald, was once forced to ward off a mob by literally thinking on his feet, or foot in this case. When riding in a quite ostentatious carriage, the distressed diplomat thrust his now wooden leg out a window in order to baffle the oncoming throng. His cries of "Vive la Revolution!" confusing them enough to make a speedy getaway. Being strongly and ironically opposed to the revolution, Morris even attempted to rescue Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette from their inevitable fate. Failing this, he did manage to rescue and ship their personal furniture to his home in the Bronx, including an intricately decorated armchair that originally resided at Versailles. Because, hey, even if you can't save your aristocratic pals, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy their aristocratic comfort. In case you haven't realized it yet, Mr. Morris's first name was literally the denomination is the result of his mother's very unique maiden name. And Governor wasn't the only Morris to get chiseled into revolutionary history, as his half-brother Lewis Morris also signed the Declaration of Independence. And if two Morrises seems plenty, the Declaration was also signed by personal but non-related friend Robert Morris. Together, the Morris friends would help establish America's financial security, with Robert serving as the superintendent of finance during the Revolutionary War. Sadly, the fate of these two Morrises parted ways later in life, when Robert lost his money and land and died in a state of poverty. Not exactly slumming it, the Morris family had once purchased 500 acres of land along the Harlem River. This land would go on to become the residence of our one-legged, lady-loving constitutional creator. Named for his family, the neighborhood of Morrisania would become the home to Morris's estate that spanned to 2,000 acres. But you might know it better by the modern title of South Bronx. This wasn't even close to the only influence the name Morris had on the city of New York, as Governor went on to play a big part in the layout of modern Manhattan. Just for starters, Morris was one of the earliest advocates for the Erie Canal, his efforts establishing the creation of the Western and Northern Inland Lock Navigation Companies in 1792. In 1807, Morris would be appointed to a group tasked with reforming the entire layout of the city. The commission rejected the European influence of old, opting for a grid system containing 155 streets and 12 avenues. Anyone faintly familiar with the Big Apple will recognize this as the modern and extremely convenient system we have today. You could say that Governor Morris died the way he lived, getting in trouble on account of what's between his legs, or, in his case, his leg. In November of 1816, Morris experienced trouble while urinating. He identified the problem as a blockage in his urethra. Historians would later diagnose this as a likely prostate cancer. To be more specific and much more grotesque, Morris had a piece of whalebone handy that he attempted to, get in there and, treat the blockage. Yeah. Ouch. It was this very painful game of self-operation that led to internal injuries, infection, and inevitably the death of Governor Morris. For all his impact on the founding of America, diaries of the French Revolution, and contributions to New York City, it's almost comforting that Morris managed to stay weird and sex-crazed from the beginning to his very painful and uncomfortable end. The first political rivalry in U.S. history was between Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson. But their beef went far beyond their political differences. And in the end, both men would
Didn't we
destroy
agree
their own
your first job was
reputations
going to
in
be
order
free?
to attack each other.
Damn,
Today,
this
we're
is
going to take a look at
all
how
I
the
can
beef
spare.
between Thomas Jefferson and Alexander
Try
Hamilton
anything
was worse
smart,
than you thought.
and you'll get a
Okay,
new start.
time to throw on the original cast recording of Hamilton. When George Washington became America's first president in 1789, he appointed both Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson to serve in his cabinet. Hamilton as Secretary of the Treasury and Jefferson as Secretary of State. This probably seemed like a good idea at the time, since both Hamilton and Jefferson had a close relationship with Washington. But we've all had those friends
Shit,
who
man.
just don't get
Well,
along.
looky
So
here,
maybe
boys.
Washington should
We
have
got
seen the
ourselves a
pair's
real-life
legendary theme
hero.
coming.
And now
Maybe
he
if
wants
wasn't
to
so
be
busy chopping
paid.
down cherry trees with his wooden teeth. That's how the story goes, right? Hamilton was only 22 when he served as Washington's secretary during the American Revolution, and they remained close for years after the war ended. In fact, it was Hamilton who encouraged a reluctant
Well,
Washington
come to
run
think
for
of it, I
president.
do have a
Jefferson
What are
shared
you
a
standing
similar
there for?
background to
Don't you have
Washington.
work to
Both
do?
were Virginia planters, and both distinguished themselves during the Revolution. Jefferson by penning the Declaration of Independence, and Washington by winning the war. Also, both men married widows named Martha, and we all know the power of a shared Martha.
You promise. Martha won't die tonight.
Sadly, the three men did not quite form the dream team Washington probably hoped for. Hamilton and Jefferson both saw themselves as Washington's closest advisor, which sparked a rivalry. The two began to compete for Washington's approval, and that competition would eventually turn the rivalry into an all-out feud. It was a real mean girl situation. Hamilton and Jefferson may have run in similar circles, but they were very different men. Hamilton was from the Caribbean, born the illegitimate son of a Scottish peddler. In 1772, he moved to New York City, and the Big Apple turned Hamilton into a proponent of urban commerce. He saw America's cities and its merchant economy as the economic engine that would drive progress, and he believed a strong central government was necessary for the country's survival. Jefferson, however, was more of a farm boy. In his eyes, Hamilton was advocating a return to European-style monarchy, the thing they just fought a whole-ass war to get away from. Jefferson's perspective favored a decentralized government, which he believed would allow for more personal liberty. Both men thought they could sway Washington toward their vision for America. Earlier, Washington's president in general seemed to side with Hamilton. To say Jefferson personally would be an understatement. Jefferson was convinced that Hamilton was a corrupt, self-interested monarchist, and in 1792 he complained to Washington that Hamilton had a squadron devoted to the nod of the Treasury. According to Jefferson, these men wanted to form the most corrupt government on earth. Which sounds like hyperbole, but Jefferson apparently really believed it. Washington tried to cool the friction between his two BFFs. In a letter to Jefferson in August 1792, Washington wrote, "How unfortunate, and how much is to be regretted then, that whilst we are encompassed on all sides with avowed enemies and insidious friends, that internal dissension should be harrowing and tearing our vitals." Basically, Washington was saying, "Squash this beef, I've got real problems to worry about." But Jefferson didn't get the hint. Instead, he wrote back to Washington and doubled down, declaring that Hamilton's ideas flowed from principles adverse to liberty and were calculated to undermine and demolish the Republic. In short, Jefferson was accusing Hamilton of being a traitor. It's rarely a good idea to be perceived as the dangerously unhinged guy in the office, but Jefferson refused to let go of the idea that Hamilton was a traitor. In October of 1792, Jefferson even told Washington that Hamilton was heading a monarchist plot to seize the government. Jefferson claimed that Hamilton had told him that the Constitution was a shilly-shally thing of mere milk and water, which could not last, and was only good as a step to something better. Shilly-shally. Them's fighting words, Jefferson. In response, Washington, who was apparently done humoring his increasingly venomous pal, dismissed Jefferson's claims as ridiculous. The president then added that Hamilton's plans actually worked and were already bringing financial stability to the new country. But rather than back down, Jefferson concluded that the 62-year-old Washington's brain had been enfeebled by age. Hamilton held sway in Washington's cabinet, but things changed with the election of 1796, in which Jefferson won himself a spot as John Adams' vice president. Sensing that Jefferson's pettiness would only get worse now that he was VP, Hamilton marshaled the Federalists, his political allies in Congress, to oppose Jefferson's Republican Party. In 1798, Hamilton's Federalists passed the now notorious Alien and Sedition Acts, which were designed to suppress political dissent. Jefferson raged against the law, calling it detestable and worthy of an 8th or 9th century. As for the Federalist government, it was a reign of wickedness, and Jefferson saw Hamilton as being behind the whole mess, proclaiming him our Bonaparte, a reference to Napoleon, who was busy conquering conquering Europe at the time and may or may not have appreciated the comparison. For what it's worth, modern legal experts widely agreed that the Alien and Sedition Acts were unconstitutional. So why didn't Jefferson challenge the laws in the Supreme Court? Well, because the country was still so young, the court hadn't yet asserted its power of judicial review. The Supreme Court wouldn't establish its authority to declare laws unconstitutional until 1803. In 1791, Hamilton met a woman named Maria Reynolds. The two had an
Welcome everyone. My name is Sean. I am back from the motherland, from Puerto Rico, where I was definitely looking for the New York Democrats who are ruining my city and my state and happened to be there at the same time that I was on vacation. Wait a minute, I was not on vacation. Any assertion that I was on vacation is defamation. And yeah, today what we're gonna do is talk about a video that was posted while I was on the island. By the way, had an absolutely wonderful time. I really appreciate all the well wishes I got from you guys out there in the audience. And this video is a response video from a guy called Actual Jake, who is trying to prove that I'm this evil white racist that's filled with evil white racism because I dared to predict that eventually Zoran Mamdani would pull a Sadiq Khan, in that he would start off downplaying his religion throughout his campaign, and then eventually he would start complaining about how everything and anything is Islamophobia. Now, of course, I predicted this back in July. I told you exactly what he was going to do, and then he did this shortly before the election happened, an election that he ultimately ended up winning. So, I mean, my video is like 100% stage accurate, wonderful, beautiful, and perfect, but Actual Jake has big problems. Chief among those problems is that I am this very much religious Christian, and in reality, if you guys don't know, because this is a very Christian channel where I Bible thump the crap out of you, Christians are just as bad as Muslims. Their terrorism is actually worse than Muslims, and that is something that you guys need to understand, because Actual Jake is an atheist that's trapped in like 2014 woke era timeline where he's trying to say, those religions that are brown people based, even if they act worse than, Christian religion, that's not something that we could ever talk about, because those are cultural differences. And Actual Jake is going to set you straight, because he's an anti-theist who, of course, gets down on his knees and worships Muslims because they could do nothing wrong, because it's a religion of color. Basically, he replaced religion in his life with wokeness. It's absolutely embarrassing. So, a good time all around making fun of this absolute idiot. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticeorder.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
I was going to skip this black screen thing because I don't think it's a very engaging start to a video. But Actual Justice Warrior does, who made the video. It's called Mom Donnie Goes Mask Off, but I was just about to skip through, and I heard this, so I have to play it for you too, YouTube audience.
Previously on Dragon Ball Z.
Everything is just, it's so cringe. The fascists are cringe. I don't know why. Like, this is the kind of dork that ideologically right now, the things he thinks are being put into place as policy because a bunch of lead chip eating goons have gained power. You think that was an AI voice prompter? Great.
So right off the top, Actual Jake spends an entire minute complaining about the fact that the setup to my previous clip from back in July, where I predicted exactly what Mamdani would do. By the way, the video is me proving it with Mamdani's own clip, so I actually predicted it accurately. But I set it up with a previously on Dragon Ball Z clip, and this very much bothers Actual Jake for some indiscernible reason. And yeah, he's just upset about it. And then somebody in his chat says, I think he used an AI voice generator in order to get that clip, which is such a stupid, pointless, like, allegation, or alization, as the super mayor would call it.
False allegations and not facts.
Because why would I need AI generation in order to get a previously on Dragon Ball Z clip when that was like at the beginning of almost every episode of Dragon Ball Z? I just pulled it from a YouTube video because it's like an iconic thing that people remember when they're around my age and they used to watch the show on Tsunami. But okay, not off to the best start. Not exactly the most wonderful this criticism, but let's see where it goes from here. Let's see what Jake's got.
This guy is a Christian, and I don't think you're any terrorism in a different way. They might not be willing to, you know, do the famous acts of terrorism, like blow up planes and like die in the process, or like have bombs or whatever strapped to them, but they'll go into holy war and die as a soldier with bullets and knives and be right up in there. Like, I don't know what the difference is functionally.
So as you guys fully understand and fully know, this is obviously a very Christian show. In fact, you can see the crucifix nailed up on this brick wall if I only just tilted the camera up slightly, but I'm not going to do that right now at this moment because you guys all understand the main component of this show is for me to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to you guys out there in the audience. It's not like I've stated that I'm an atheist multiple different times on this channel. It's not like some of you in the comments don't complain about me being an atheist because you happen to be religious and that bothers you, but definitely 100% actual Jake is not just talking out of his ass for about 5 minutes at the beginning of this video about how I'm a very much bad Christian man and Christianity scares him just as much as Islam, because I don't know if you guys know this, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, Christians do their terrorism just like the Muslims, in fact worse than the Muslims, they just do it slightly differently. A perfect example of this is when Matt Stone and Trey Parker made fun of Mormons with the Mormon episode of South Park and then the musical, The Book of Mormon. You actually find Mormons outside of where that musical is playing, and they try to make a copy of the Book of Mormon and say, hey, you saw the show, now learn more about the faith, because they take that as an opportunity to recruit people.
I don't know what the difference is.
Now, if you compare and contrast that to Muslims, who had an absolute freak out over Matt and Trey trying to depict Muhammad in the legendary episodes 200 and 201, and their response was slightly different, but still on the same scale. I mean, they posted the address of Matt Stone and Trey Parker, they threatened to kill him, they referenced other people who were murdered for depicting Muhammad, and of course, we know that that episode is still up to this very day, just in the same way that the Mormon musical, The Book of Mormon, is successful and still on Broadway. Oh wait, it was pulled, and in fact, past episodes where South Park made fun of Muslims and depicted Muhammad were also pulled retroactively, and this is not an isolated incident. In fact, Muslims shot up the Charlie Hebdo paper in Paris, if you guys remember that, but I'm sure this is very much the same thing. Again, Mormons, they give out the Book of Mormon outside of the Book of Mormon. Muslims, they put a bullet in your head when you try to depict Muhammad.
Just like you're less brave than a Muslim terrorist, or you're less convicted than Muslim terrorists, I suppose. But of course, if you're a Muslim, you're a terrorist. This is what they do. So I, as an anti-theist, am less extreme than just how religions treat each other. I have learned this over the years because I'm an anti-theist. I think religion is actively bad for you. It's not benign. It's obviously a bad thing. It's a delusion that people use as a poor basis of thought, and then from that foundation, everything fractures. You can watch a web of thought from the very idea of like God controls everything, and I'm a sinner. It just goes crazy. It's a domino effect. It's so harmful.
Guys, I'm not kidding. This guy goes on an entire 5-minute unprompted rant about how Christians are so bad because I guess they called him gay in like the year 2020 or something of the sort, and that really bothered him. But obviously he has no idea of what he's talking about. He doesn't understand scale, and I'm all about scale. That's why I keep a tape measure by my bed, in my car, and within arm's reach in this studio in case I get too excited about something that I'm responding to. And it's just pathetic. Again, this is like back in the day when TYT did that video on the Cologne sexual assaults on New Year's Eve, and you had Jimmy Dore going into hyper defensive mode of Muslims, even though again this was like a massive groping by Muslims on New Year's Eve, something Germany had almost never seen before in its entire history. Maybe when the Soviets invaded, it was a bit worse then. Look that up for yourselves. And yeah, it's just embarrassing to see somebody who is an anti-theist, a harsh critic of religion, just bend over backwards for the Muslims because, oh my god, religion of color. So sad that people are Islamophobic. Oh my god, how dare they be concerned about the beliefs and actions and behaviors associated with that religion.
But of course, if you're a Muslim, you're a terrorist. This is what they do.
Also, in a throwback to a very cowardly line of argumentation, actual Jake is doing the, are you saying it's all Muslims? Are you saying all Muslims are terrorists? Because, you know, that's horrible. He's saying that all of them are terrorists, and obviously that's not true.
You're going, I don't know. The implication of you being a Muslim is that you're a suicide bomber. Like, it's not very tongue-in-cheek. That's pretty much what it always is. The implication, you wearing a hijab? Do you got a bomb strapped to you? It's like that thin. It's just f***ing racism.
No, Jake, I did not say all Muslims are terrorists. This is you trying to reconcile the fact that you are allegedly an anti-theist, but also you're willing to bend over backwards to excuse the problems with Islam. So you have to try to straw man my argument by saying that I'm claiming it's all when I'm saying not all. Do I need to pull a Devin Tracy and put the not all sticker on the video for the rest of the video so you can understand it? I know you're a bit slow. I know you think I'm throwing Bibles at everybody from this seat right here, but I assure you I'm actually not doing so. But you're not really all that informed. But just in case you're confused, I'll leave this up for a little longer, and if you don't read English very well, that says not all, not 100%. In fact, I never said 100%. Can we get past that? Can we get to level 1 of the conversation, or are you still stuck on level 0? Again, not all, didn't say all. In fact, later on in this video, which you kind of breeze past, I specifically talk about how American Muslims are actually the most chill of Muslims across the world from my experience, from what we look at in terms of the polling data on what they actually believe. But just in case you're confused, Jake, I said not all, not 100%. Are you following? Are you still ranting about me being this Christian fascist that's just throwing the Bible at everybody?
I don't think, like, Mamdani being a Muslim, like, coming from a Muslim culture, like an Islamic culture, like, every policy he advocates for is secular in nature, and he seems to have a clear delineation between those things in his head and his rhetoric and his policy as a member of the city council and everything. I think it's fine. We can have the first thought.
So first of all, Zohran Mamdani is a socialist. That is my chief problem with him. Make no mistake about it. I've talked about it probably more than anybody on the internet.com who's covered the Mamdani election. But secondly, actual Jake is basically unbroken in his streak of being wrong about absolutely everything, because Zohran Mamdani is not in the city council. He's in the state assembly. In fact, one of the criticisms that you will often find in my videos, something you might want to look into before you do a response to me, know the basics about what I actually believe before you just shoot off at the mouth like an absolute idiot, is the fact that I have pointed out multiple times that Zohran Mamdani is running for New York City mayor, now is the mayor-elect. He's claiming that he wants to raise taxes that, by the way, need to be raised at the state level. However, as a state assembly person, he's never proposed the bills in order to raise those taxes that, again, need to be raised at the state level, what you would do in the state assembly. And now, as mayor, he's doing the trick that we always see New York City mayors do, which is say, oh, I might not be able to get that done because of those bastards over at the state legislature. But that's his current job right now. That's where he's at this moment. He could actually start proposing the bills that could actually get his agenda through right now at this moment, but he's not doing so. So that's a policy criticism. I know you might think that's his life. I know you're trying to prove that I'm an evil white racist throughout the course of this video, but again, some basic understanding of the candidate that you're sucking off and the criticism that he's faced throughout the entire campaign would be useful for you right now at this moment, Jake.
6 years ago, shortly after I announced I was running for assembly, a well-meaning Muslim uncle pulled me aside. He smiled softly and looked at me with care.
Can I just mention a small little tidbit here, just because there's a mini controversy going on right now, where they're trying very hard to get any dirt on Zohran Mamdani because he's obviously crushing this. They're just trying anything they can do at this point to prevent the inevitable. And they're saying, oh, he called someone his aunt, but it's actually her cousin. He just did this to just a guy in his community. He just calls him an uncle. Like, this is just such a cultural thing. Anyway, it's just more racism.
In a quiet voice, he told me I did not have to tell people I was Muslim. His eyes kind, his beard proud.
So right here, actual Jake tries to put in a premise that it's racist to question who Zohran Mamdani was referring to when he said his aunt was afraid to wear a hijab after 9/11, after it was proven that his aunt was not even in the country before or in the years after 9/11, and by the way, is a Muslim who doesn't even wear a hijab. And actual Jake tries to preempt this criticism, even though he cut off my video before I go over this, by saying, oh, it's a cultural thing. Oh, but Muslims and non-whites, they call all these different various people aunts and uncles, and that's just something that white people, you just don't understand. You just don't get it. deflect from the fact that Mamdani was caught lying about Islamophobia in order to further victimize himself. And by the way, that this was predicted by Ryan Gerdusky in this tweet, and all the lefties are falling in line and doing this because Jake's actual religion is wokeness, which in part is worship of the non-white, worship of the foreigner.
In a quiet voice, he told me I did not have to tell people I was Muslim. His eyes kind, his beard proud, and his face heavy with the implication of the unsaid.
Now, I forgot to make commentary on the fact that Mamdani said his beard was proud in that particular clip right there, and I just want to point out that Zoran Mamdani said that his beard was proud. He said that as the thing. That was a sentence that came out of his face. So let's just go into the rest of this, but acknowledge that he said his beard was proud. With early voting already happening right now, he's going to win the race for New York City mayor.
Dude, I know I sped this up a little bit, but his, like, the timbre in his voice, the panic, he's like, the socialist is gonna, oh god, it's a socialist.
Probably should have kept the count on the side of the screen of how many things actual Jake was gonna get wrong throughout the course of this video, but the fact that he just complained about the timbre in my voice, you know, like when you chop down a tree and yell timber instead of the timbre, you know, the word that he was actually looking for, that he likely never heard anybody say, that he was trying to pull out of his ass in order to sound smart, even though he just sounds incredibly stupid, is absurd for a number of reasons. First and foremost, this guy sounds like he has trepidation in his voice. He sounds incredibly weak when he talks, when he's like, oh, I'm so scared of the Christians. I'm an actual justice warrior, very Christian on this channel. Again, very bitch-made in his tone. My tone is not different at all whatsoever from how I normally talk, because I understand that, yeah, Mamdani's likely to win, but you know what? We have the governor's race in 2026, and hopefully the fact that Governor Kathy Hochul endorsed this guy is used against her in order to unseat her in the 2026 gubernatorial race. Again, I'm not panicked about the fact that Mamdani is elected as my mayor. I understand that there are negative consequences of that, and while I don't want my fellow New Yorkers to suffer, hopefully those consequences can lead to better electoral outcomes in 4 years when we have another mayoral election.
The timbre in his voice.
But I'll be sure to watch the timbre in my voice, because actual Jake has definitely spotted that. He definitely saw that. Absolutely devastated, and it just shows that I'm so sad and so distressed about this whole situation.
So here's the thing that they're scared of, and is the thing that they've always been scared of. This is why Vietnam happened in Korea. Like, anytime, and everything in South America, including right now, anytime socialism gets a foothold of power, they get really f***ing scared. Like the powers that be, they're really f***ing scared because they know it's gonna work, and it does work every single time.
So actual Jake, our anti-theist, our rational thinker, our person who looks at the facts and the evidence, just showed us that he is an economic flat earther. He's like, the reason they're scared, the reason they're afraid, is because socialism works everywhere it's been tried, and he knows this for sure, because actual Jake is from Earth 2, you know, where the red light means go, and the green light means stop. Like, what the hell are you even talking about? And the fact that this guy actually had the gall to cite North Korea as an example, he's like, this is what they were scared of in Korea. Well, North Korea is your communist paradise. It is your experiment, and I will bet you $1 million that you would rather live in South Korea than in North Korea, a much more advanced civilization, much more successful than its northern counterpart. But yeah, that's actually what you're going to right now. Now, of course, he also mentioned Vietnam, another war that was fought. The country, unfortunately, did not get split in half in that particular circumstance. However, over time, the Vietnamese have kind of opened themselves up to a bunch of American products, and we've actually kind of won them over through trade, through capitalist goods, which is wonderful. But yeah, socialism has never worked. This is the most obvious thing ever. I don't understand what his examples are of it being successful, and how he can actually say, North Korea, this is what they were terrified over there. Yeah, of the dictatorial regime oppressing the people in the South. Yeah, we were worried about that. We were concerned about that. The suffering of the North is in fact concerning. The secular humanist right here doesn't seem to care about that at all whatsoever. But North Korea is the successful version of that equation, according to this absolute idiot.
Because we need stuff. You don't need to commodify everything. Decommodify necessities. And suddenly the whole world blooms. But what that does is it disturbs and disrupts a hierarchy that's been put into place. And so some people tumble down to a mere millionaire or something. No, I can't be a billionaire. I can only be a multi-millionaire. I don't like it. I need more control. They think they can like transcend something because they have accrued the most points in the U.S. financial game. But someday, hopefully, without catastrophe, but hopefully, we can see that this obvious game of numbers should be relegated to just that. A frivolous thing that you opt into to have fun. You can gamble, you can buy stuff you don't need, you can, go have fun. I don't mind if capitalism or markets in general, I don't mind if markets in general are just a fun place we go hang out. Because I like the idea of having a little point system and going and buying stuff. I like it.
I don't even know how to respond to this. This is the ramblings of an absolute idiot who adopted a political ideology as his new religion and can't quite articulate it. He's like, I want us to be able to go visit markets, not a capitalism. That's absolutely terrible. I mean, it's the greatest system that has lifted more people out of poverty than anything else in human history. Advanced civilization, life expectancy, and all that. But yeah, we need to go to the socialism because it's worked every single time it's been tried. It's never failed, guys. It's always a 10 out of 10, absolutely perfect in every possible way, according to actual Jake.
Stuff I like it, but not when your survival is at stake. And I don't think we should couple those things. Easy to undo. We can have our cake and eat it too. It's very simple. It's a matter of just available resources, and we have all of that.
Like, seriously, what are we even listening to here? We're 7 minutes in, and he's trying to prove that I'm some evil white racist, and I'm waiting for the proof of the evil white racism. And of course, Zorha Mamdani ended up taking it a step further, making the case that Muslims, and we're not talking about Muslims that were in the Twin Towers, but Muslims in general, were the real victims of the September 11th attacks.
Why is this they try to twist that? So instead of hearing like, hey, Islamophobia is a problem, they go, no, we're the actual victims of 9/11. How about 9/11 was one day that happened, and the subsequent cleanup essentially is part of that. That had incredible political ripples that aren't just about who died. It's broader than that. I think your minds are too slim. Yes. How about there are more than one kind of victim? How about the severity to which you are a victim is also different for each individual? Some people died immediately. Some people had to jump out of the buildings. Who's more of a victim? I think the jumper more of a victim than the person who died instantly in the plane. Not a victim. Definitely a victim. Deserved not to be. So are we splitting hairs here? So I think 20 plus years later, we could acknowledge that, hey, this exacerbated community-wide Islamophobia in obvious ways that can be addressed and still ripple through clearly right fucking now.
So one of the things that's impressive about people like Jake is that they manage to do response videos, which should be the easiest thing in the world, because you have all the time to take to actually look into the claims, watch the video all the way through, and not fall into the traps of said video, because again, the video can't argue back. But they manage to fail repeatedly because they're so blinded by their ideology. Again, this guy has a religious devotion to leftism, so he just did the thing that I make fun of later on in this video with a Norm Macdonald clip where he talks about how, oh, the real issue with 9/11 is the blowback on the innocent Muslims. Is in fact the blowback on Muslims, which is the exact thing that I was pointing out that these people always do, and he does it in the video. Let me jump to where he plays that clip.
I can't say my friend's name, but he said his biggest fear is that ISIS or some terrorist group like that will get a hold of a dirty bomb and explode it over a major city within the United States and kill tens of millions of people. Because then the blowback against innocent Muslims would be absolutely terrible.
That's true.
Honestly, Norm, you're gone too soon. Your words of wisdom are absolutely as sage now as they were when you said them. And
it's just like the book of the man, we listen to the same clip? I don't think so.
And again, this goes completely over his head that he just did the thing that Norm Macdonald was making fun of in that clip.
I have not learned the lesson that he had been taught time and again. It is the lesson that safety could only be found in the shadows of our city. That it is in those shadows alone Muslims could embrace the fullness of our own identities. And that if we are to emerge from them, then it is in those shadows where we must leave our faith. These are lessons that so many Muslim New Yorkers have been taught.
So if you spend any time around these topics on the internet.com, somebody in your comments will definitely 100% at some point bring up the taqiyya, which is a concept in Islam where Muslims are permitted to lie and conceal their faith in order to, not get persecuted or something of the sort. Now,
are you being conspiratorial right now?
Oftentimes, when people leave these comments, what they're actually saying is that Muslims are lying in order to appear that they're assimilating into the countries that they're in until eventually they gain enough power in order to implement their agenda. So,
yes, the answer is yes. This is the Jews control everything, but instead it's a twist. The Muslims are trying. Just super racism.
That's just super racism. I don't know if you guys know that. That's super racism, that he talked about this concept in Islam where they're able to conceal their faith, or they're permitted to conceal their faith in order to avoid oppression or targeting or anything of the sort. Now, of course, Jake, again, not a very good listener, because what I'm talking about is I'll often receive comments that talk about this concept in Islam, and specifically, I'll get those comments when I'm critiquing somebody like Cenk Uygur, who of course is an atheist, who then identifies as a Muslim for political reasons, and people will say, no, Sean, he's only pretending to be an atheist in order to forward the goals of Islam. And in fact, this is an ongoing joke on this channel, and I often end up pronouncing the taqiyya like the tazini or the tahini or some kind of variant in order to make fun of the people in the comments. But the point of me talking about this is that the older guy is saying that he thinks Mamdani might experience oppression, so he's reminding him of this concept under Islamic law that he can conceal his faith throughout the course of the campaign. So what I'm actually saying is that the more radical or conspiratorial interpretation of the taqiyya that I often hear about in the comments is not even where you need to go in order to understand what this older Muslim allegedly told Zorha Mamdani when he started the mayoral campaign. So, Jake, just no good at listening, no good at research. Wrong again. I don't know how many times he's gonna just get everything 100% backwards and wrong, but he did say super racist. Racist against the religion of Islam, you're evil white racist with your evil white racism.
There must be something about the way he communicates and the way he puts out videos consistently, because right-wingers, I mean, they don't love this guy, but I mean, he's got success on YouTube to the extent that it's probably his job, right? So, like, especially with Patreon and stuff.
So then Jake comments on my success on YouTube, which thank you very much, and he says, oh, it's probably his job, especially with Patreon and whatnot. It's my job without Patreon. It's my job without the member support that I get over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join, or the one-time donations via PayPal or Venmo. And yes, this is a very sneaky advertisement for all of you who want to support the channel. But yeah, it is my job. This is what I do for a living. That's what happens when you're actually successful and you can draw in an audience, Jake. Maybe you should look into that. I do find it interesting that what Mamdani is describing right here is something that is put upon Muslims externally, even though, again, this is directly drawn from their faith. It is a tactic that they deploy, and again, in the best reading of this particular tactic, it is something that permits Muslims, in order to shield themselves, to avoid oppression from the majority group. But again, Mamdani's like, this is just a lesson that you have to learn in the city of New York, such an evil white racist place, filled with evil white racism, because, oh my god, it's been...
He didn't say any of that. Are you... So as you can tell, okay, I think I'd like to start off by saying this isn't meticulous or planned or anything. This was spawned by Hannah's behavior yesterday, which was, you know, we'll talk about it, but it's in a long line of bad behaviors that are shitty, not ways to treat people. And
it's cold.
Okay, I'll get Sarah on here in a window somewhere. Yeah, let me do like this, and then I'll do like a window capture. This is scuffed because this isn't like a document I'm putting together. I took screenshots of my phone.
This is the kind of thing that people would make like a twit longer about, and then, but I don't know.
This
it's
is
a lot to organize.
If it was a Google Doc, if I was trying to like, you know, hurt her in some way, it would be like a whole thing. But it's just, I'm tired of this. I'm just tired of it. Let me see if I can do window capture. There we go. And then, sure. Are you fucking serious right now? All right, I'm actually just gonna do. I'm just gonna put us both up here, and just not focus you. And we'll just do it that way. Bro, are you fucking serious? There we go. All right, I'm just gonna do it like this, so not 100% up there. But what were you saying? Rain D, next to you.
All of.
Yeah, so the streamer, we'll talk a little bit about the streamer awards, okay? We'll talk a little bit about this.
No streamer awards noms, Sag.
You know why you didn't get nominated. You know why.
Yeah, we weren't going to win anything, let's be real. 12K. How was the podcast? It was amazing. Probably the best podcast we've ever, probably one of the better podcast episodes we've done. No nomination, who cares? Well, yeah, I know. It's funny because it's like, this has been a relatively
What's wrong with your hair?
tumultuous year.
Yeah.
The more like mainstream recognition I receive as a political commentator,
Right.
the more
The more
angry
what?
and resentful other political commentary adjacent people get, and the more they
He better not be thinking about me. I don't care if you have an article written about you. I don't give a fuck about that. He better not be thinking this is about me. I don't care. It's fine. It's good content for me. I don't care.
fucking do smear campaigns. And the
smear
more
campaign, oh god,
separated and connected I feel from the
you've gone on smear campaigns against so many people. Like, this is what you get.
Community. No one got nominated who does political content, so it is what it is. Yeah.
It's true.
Except XQC, who
doesn't do political content, and you know this. You know he doesn't do political content. You know he doesn't. Wait, what are we talking about here?
literally live streamed with the president. With the
Oh, God. So, doing one... And by the way, this was the extent of XQC's live stream of Trump. Hi! Okay, that was it. That was the whole thing.
current president. But I
Yes.
guess that's not... He's not considered a political streamer because...
Because that's not his entirety of his content. And him being on Aiden's stream while Aiden interviewed Donald Trump for 5 minutes is not equivalent to you spending hours every single day doing politics. That's correct. These two things are not equivalent to each other. Yes.
XQC. And Aiden Ross.
Who also wasn't nominated, by the way.
And Kick.
Who was not nominated.
But I don't think AT&T has an issue with XQC in the same way that they have an issue with me.
I wonder why.
You didn't have a whole live stream with Trump. The rep Young Vote. And Aiden Ross has so many streams with Nick Fuentes, who's an actor. Yeah, I mean XQC.
XQC what?
XQC literally streamed with Donald Trump. And I don't think AT&T has any problems with XQC. AT&T literally blacklisted me. AT&T likes XQC.
Yeah, duh. You think streaming with the president for like a day or like a few hours is the same as making political content every day?
He streamed with Donald Trump.
Jesus.
That in and of itself is a perfect example of this.
I don't understand this at all. It's crazy. And yeah, what is this? And it's nuts. Of course, obviously, XQC isn't a political creator. How do you even say this? Like, what do you mean? Cutie Cinderella on why problematic streamers weren't nominated. Okay, so here we go.
Somebody said, are problematic people blackballed from getting nominated? No, they've just never nominated. Turns out their audience doesn't show up. I think when people have like a crazy audience or whatever, you know, I don't see Jack Doherty's audience voting for him. I just
because doesn't have one.
I just don't. They just don't show up. I don't know. I wish I could. It is always funny. Audiences will complain every year that they weren't nominated, and then like not do nominations on stream or not tweet about it or not like ask their audience to vote for them or nothing. They'll give nothing. They give nothing. You know, it's like you gotta. You do have to log in with a Twitch account, and you have to fill it out, which I know some people's viewers don't have.
She's trying to insinuate that they're view bombing.
I won't say the quiet part out loud.
It's clearly what she's doing.
Somebody said,
yeah, she's trying to insinuate they're view botters. So, here's the thing. You're lying. You know you're lying. Everybody knows you're lying. If you are not lying, I think this is what my assertion is. I think that you have exercised editorial control and you have picked the nominees not completely from fan voting, but from your own opinions and to keep the show brand friendly. I think that the priority for the show is to make sure that the show gets as many viewers as possible and maintains as many sponsors as possible. I think that's what happened. And I am willing to bet $100,000 on it. Invite me next year to watch the voting, and if the people that get voted on actually are the ones that get nominated, I will donate $100,000 to the charity of your choice. That is how certain I am that you're lying. Go ahead. So we'll see what happens. Surely they would take it up. Surely they would take it up with me, right? Of course. And I think it's so obvious. It's so obvious they're lying. Like, anybody could tell this. Anybody could know this. And, I mean, you'll be watching. They won't do it. Of course, right? And then you'd have the actual nominees. That's my whole point. And so, yeah, it could be a million. So it wouldn't happen. Well, and again, maybe they'll take me up on it. Maybe they'll, like kind of, oh, never mind, towards the end, right? And, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. By the way, the charity she chose is my Cash App or whatever she wants, right? Yeah, yeah, 100K to any charity you want. If you think that if I get to watch the voting happen, if you give me back-end access to the voting and I can watch the number go up, and then you can tell me that the nominations were completely organic, I think it's not true. I think you're lying. I do. Sorry. And it's like, and there's a lot of these, like, for example, like, and here's some of the reasons why I think it's not true. It's that you have somebody like Hassan. Hassan has been nominated every single year for multiple awards, multiple times. And this time, he wasn't even nominated for League of Their Own, which really, Hassan is one of the only people on the platform that does political content. And he was one of the first people besides Destiny that really made it his primary content. And you're telling me that he didn't even get nominated for that? He didn't get nominated for that, like the League of Their Own. There was nothing that he got nominated for at all. Are you going to insinuate that Hassan was viewbotting too? This is your friend. So very clearly you're not going to do that. So explain the dissonance there. Explain why that didn't happen. And you also have all these other streamers, the, like, oh, well, we're not going to put people in multiple categories from last year and now you're doing it. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think you're lying. I think you're bullshitting. And that's it. And so why wouldn't they be there? Well, the reason why is that I think they take certain creative liberties and they take certain, basically, editorial decisions to remove, suppress, and not include certain people in the voting. I think that's what happened. And I am so certain that I will bet $100,000. That's what I think. It's obvious. Obvious. Everybody can see it. Oh, and by the way, if I win, I don't have to get anything. I don't want anything. I just want to see that I'm right. I don't need any leverage here. I don't need any, you don't have to do anything for me or anything like that. Nope. I'm just going to show that I'm right. That's it, rigged like most other award shows? Yes, I guess so. And, most humble, give the 100K to me for no reason instead? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a good idea. And, yeah, you can't tell me Queso isn't in Streamer of the Year? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they voted for him. Maybe they didn't. I have no idea. So much of the voting is by her audiences and adjacent audience. Do you think if your audiences interacted and voted for you? I did, but the majority of chat thinks it's stupid and doesn't care. Well, I mean, what do you think the probability is that I didn't even get voted for MMO streamer? What do you really think the probability for that is? I think it's extremely low after winning it two years, right? And so, like, I mean, really, what's the probability of this? And I think, and also, by the way, I don't care about this. Like, it doesn't matter to me personally. But I'm saying that in a general sense, I think that it is rigged. You're 100% rigging it. And again, next year, if you're not going to rig it, if you think if that, show me the data. Show me the data. Not show me the data after you've accumulated it. Show it to me as it is being aggregated in real time. I want back-end access to the aggregation system and how it is happening. The raw data as it is happening, as it occurs extemporaneously. Give me that, and you're going to find out. Ludwig obviously is going to defend his girlfriend. I get it. Every year I see firsthand how much time, effort, and passion Cutie devotes into the Streamer Awards. Every year she gets shit from every corner of the internet that feels like they deserve more. I know it's not possible to please everyone, but if you're like me, inspired by the work she puts in and thinks it makes streaming a better place, don't be afraid to be more vocal about it. Yeah, of course, people want to be positive, and, you know, I can't fault Ludwig for trying to support his girlfriend. I get that. I understand it. I'd do the same thing if I was him. But I do think that it's not accurate. I think that it's not accurate. And I think that that's not actually what the numbers are. There's this too. Even the nominated communities are crashing out. Oh my fucking god!
My whole team of clippers who had 24 hours to grab the clips did not know what all of Jason's relationships were in the past. Like I can't like. I'm
so
sorry.
what's she mad
I don't
about?
have an expert from every community come and give me the clips because then you guys would know the nominations. Like, oh my
what's
God,
the problem?
I'm fucking hate threads on fucking Jason's community posts. That's like his Twitter com shitting on me. Like, Jesus Christ.
It's a Twitter community. Who gives a fuck?
God.
Didn't Jason get nominated for Streamer of the Year?
But it's just like, really? 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 Why are you explaining to us rather than talk to Jason? I have talked to Jason! Jason's not the one that's mad! It's you fucking freaks that are mad for him!
Why do you give a fuck?
For him! Jesus Christ! Like, genuinely. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Thank you, Mac. It's so frustrating.
Uh-huh. Videos glow quality. It might be a smaller screen.
Picked one of my favorite pics of me with my eyes closed leaning against the wall. I believe they were all trying to portray us at our best. Thank you! I just love puzzles! God, I'm doing my fucking best over here! And the store didn't even have Cheerios! I'm just so tired.
Oh, God. Oh, God. You gotta stop this. Like, you gotta stop this. Like, this is just, it is so unhealthy. It's so bad. Like, you do not need to do this. Like, this is, come on. What are you doing? Like, it's just a few idiots on the internet. Like, why even give a fuck? It doesn't matter. Like, so the Twitter community doesn't like you?
Okay.
Oh my god.
Now,
what is this?
we're gonna do our real job, which is play fucking video games for a living.
Yeah.
Because the one I'm getting all of the shit for isn't even my fucking job.
Right.
God. I'm so tired. I just want to play Dispatch so bad, and I haven't had any time to do this stupid fucking award show.
Yep.
I'm so tired of crying. I'm 30, by the way. Oh my god.
You will never be free until you stop doing this. Like, you gotta stop. You're 30 years old. Like, really, you're a grown-ass woman. You gotta stop doing this. You gotta stop letting a bunch of teenagers in a Twitter community get you rustled. Like, that's just what happens. Like, you're gonna have some people that might not agree with what you did.
Thanks for the raid. I'm sorry. It's so embarrassing. It's been a long day.
That's nuts.
But all I wanted was Cheerios. But all I got was paste salsa.
I
Paste salsa
don't even know what to
salsa.
say. I really don't even know what to
It's
say.
just what I thought would go nice with Cheerios.
Jesus.
And I didn't even get the Cheerios.
I feel bad for calling it out because I can see obviously it bothers her, but I mean, you can't be doing a show like this and be fucking changing the votes and shit. Like, I think that they did it, and as I said, if not, then I'll admit that I'm wrong. And anyway, yeah, I do think it's rigged. I do. I think it's rigged. I think it's rigged. And let me see if I pull up some more of these here too. The fans are disappointed. Q Syndrome and go blackball Cuffum from the Streamer Awards. Yeah, true. Yeah, true. I feel like there's a you gotta have. I mean, you had to at least get a nomination for something like this, like biggest collab of the year, right? I mean, damn. Yeah, do something.
No one is telling me.
Yeah. What'd he do?
To see if there was anybody we should check in on.
Hey.
Nobody.
Hey.
Okay,
You look pretty.
that's
You look
totally
pretty.
fine.
Hey.
Then we're going to go ahead and move to our next.
Oh God. Banned? Oh shit. Oh no.
No one is telling
Jason
me.
banned him? I know. Oh man, he got banned right off that shit, huh?
To see if there was anybody we should check in on.
Wow. Hey.
Nobody.
And
Okay,
you look pretty.
that's
You look
totally
pretty.
fine.
Hey. You look pretty.
Then we're going to go ahead and move to our next.
+1 incel. Our power is growing. Yep, there you go. His face. Oh my fucking god, bro. Wow, so funny. That is funny as fuck, man. No, bro. Did you just say what I think you said?
Why is this old lady?
God, you can't say that. You can't say that. She's not that old. Come on, man. Like, oh, what are you? You're probably reading chat.
Getting some man at all these little zoomers. You know, what's she doing? Like, shouldn't she just like? I feel like she needs to just relax.
Just for shit.
Let the zoomers do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
30 for gamers is retirement age. You're right. True. So true.
Go play some bingo.
Play some bingo. I'm telling her to go play bingo. She's 30 years old. The thing is, what's crazy is I think me and Quinn are older than. I know I am. I'm pretty sure Quinn's older than 30. He got to be like 33, 34, something like that. So we even older than she is talking shit. Yeah, we old as fuck. He 33, yeah, something like that, right? And 30 for women is retirement age. I didn't say it. You did. I didn't say that shit.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show, and on this episode I'm going to be talking about a movie that serves as a warning to all you stargazers out there. I know it seems like harmless fun to set up a telescope and look at the stars, but it can actually be very harmful to you and those around you, because at any moment a meteorite could fall out of the sky and hit you in the head, causing you to turn into a monster that kills people. These are facts. It's Track of the Moon Beast, a movie that was apparently written over the course of a weekend, and it shows. Now, this movie was made in 1972, but was never picked up by a distributor, so it sat there for 4 years until it was finally released on TV in 1976. The movie starts with, I guess this is an asteroid on fire heading towards Earth, but it's okay because apparently it's only going to hit the moon. Then we have this guy, Paul, riding his motorcycle out in the desert so that he can stop and dig for bones, I guess. And I want you to take a good look at this guy because he's a great example of what not to do. I mean, did he bring anything to shield him from the sun? No. Sunscreen? No. Sunglasses? Hell no. I mean, are you trying to do a skin cancer speed run? Or did you just not prepare for any of this at all? Maybe he's one of those spontaneous paleontologists driving around like, hey, I bet there could be bones there. See, now this would scare the crap out of me, because the only thing worse than thinking you're alone when you're not is thinking you're alone when you're not and the other person is screaming. Because then it's like, great, somebody needs help. And unless there's another person around, I have to be the one to help them. And I don't want to, but who knows? Maybe someone doesn't need help. Maybe they just don't want him touching their bones. But he's like, screw it. I'm just gonna go right back to brushing these bones until suddenly...
Hi, Paul. Hi.
Okay, so this was a trick the whole time? Did they plan this? Were they waiting for him? I mean, you're out in the middle of nowhere. How long were they waiting there? Well, all of those questions will not be answered. Johnny Longbow is an old friend of Paul's, and he's like, hey, Paul, these are my students. And he invites everyone over to his place for dinner and tells them the ingredients.
That's a great stew. What's in it?
Oh, a lot of things. Chicken, corn, green peppers, chili, onions.
Now, I bet you're wondering what the ingredients of this stew have to do with the plot. Well, absolutely nothing, but, I mean, aren't you a little curious? Like, I kind of want to make that now. Paul and Kathy go up on Sandia Crest to watch the meteor shower, which is something that Paul will soon regret for the rest of his life. Because suddenly, a meteorite comes flying in and hits Paul in the head, even though he doesn't notice it at first. And see, this is why you shouldn't do stuff like this. Going outside,
If you drink
looking
all
at
the
sky.
coffee, I'll
Because
kill
something
you.
like this could
Well,
happen
look who
and
decided
turn
to
you
show their
into a
face
monster.
again.
I'm serious, look.
That's nothing.
Yeah, that's right. I guess that meteorite must have hit him in the head pretty hard because suddenly Paul thinks it's totally okay to litter. And you know what? I have to put up with a lot to do this show. I have to watch movies where people do all sorts of horrible things, like murder. But littering, I have a serious problem with because that's something that affects everybody. Seriously, think about it. Murder just really affects the person who's being
No
murdered.
refunds.
And
Deal's done.
maybe the
Now,
people closest
beat
to
it,
them. But
fucker.
littering affects the whole planet. Yeah, see? Kind of makes sense.
It could get infected.
Look, I don't live far from here. And I've got all kinds of antiseptic in my medicine cabinet at my place.
Damn, Paul. I mean, the dude's got some game, I'll give him that. He gets hit in the head with the space rock and doesn't skip a beat. He's like, oh yeah, it really hurts. It's really bad. You know what would be best for it, though? Going back to my place. So they go back to his place, which is actually his mom's house. And Kathy is like, oh, you live with your mom. That's cool. She starts looking at the pictures of him when he was a kid, and he shows her his lizard. I guess that head injury of his isn't that urgent after all. Kathy is not a fan, and Paul is like, look, it's fine. His name is Ty, short for Tyrannosaurus. Now, don't you feel better for some reason?
It does. I'm really frightened.
I like how she kisses him, but is still staring at the head wound, like, okay, yeah, don't